Welcome to this episode of The Pulse of East Providence with Mayor Bob DaSilva. Our administration is keen on trying to communicate with the community in as many formats as possible. We utilize our social media, we utilize our website, eastprovinceri.gov, and any other means that we can get the message out to you. Today, on our show, we have the Chief of the East Providence Police Department, Christopher Francesconi, who's going to be joining us and talking about some of the great things going on in the city and with the police department. How are you today, Chief?
Great, Mayor. Thank you for having me.
Chief, thanks for taking time to out of your busy day to be here with us today. And I usually like to start off our interviews with learning a little bit about, or having the opportunity for the person I'm talking with to share their story with the community. You've been a police officer now how long?
I've been an East Providence police officer for just over 23 years. I am a married father of two. I have twin daughters who will be going off to college in just a couple short months. Prior to starting with the East Providence Police Department, I did my undergraduate at St. Anselm College, received my master's degree from Salve Regina University. Over the years with the East Providence Police Department, I've done filled a multitude of roles, and it's been an extremely rewarding career. I think it's prepared me well for the position I'm in now, it's a great organization that I have the privilege to lead.
Now, it's interesting because this is just the way Rhode Island is, I guess. I actually met your wife before I met you through our coaching. And she used to coach, right, back in the day?
Yep, she was a volunteer soccer coach with AYSO here in East Providence. She coached my daughters when they were, just 2-3 years old. So, yeah.
And then she became, she's a referee out there now, right?
Right, yep. She referees youth soccer, high school soccer throughout Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And
one of your daughters are pretty good at the sport? They're going to be moving along, right?
I have one daughter who will be playing collegiate soccer next year, which I'm very excited about.
Congratulations. No, I know sometimes I'm trying to get a hold of you on the weekends. I know you always pick up the phone, but you're at those soccer tournaments like I'm at all the time, which it's a wonderful thing. I mean, it's a growing sport. It keeps kids engaged. Now, you're not originally from East Providence. I know you reside in East Providence now, but where were you? Where was Chris Francesconi raised?
I was born and raised in Revere, Massachusetts, which is just north of Boston. I have lived in East Providence for 20 years now, just over 20 years. Shortly after being hired, my wife and I settled in East Providence, had a family. Kids attended elementary school here in East Providence, and I became a townie. You are. You're very entrenched in the community. And how did someone from Massachusetts end up here? 25 years ago, it wasn't quite as easy to become a police officer. There was many applicants. My wife is from Rhode Island originally, told me about East Providence hiring, took the test on a whim, and here I am. So.
And that kind of segues into what we want to talk about, the recruitment and how things have changed. I know back in the day, so what year did you get on?
1999.
So 1999, things were much different back then. It was very competitive. When you were trying out for departments, you try at multiple departments, I would assume.
Yes.
And you selected the ones that you wanted on your list, and fortunately, East Providence took you on, and you've done great here. And I know that you served through many different divisions. We'll talk about that in a minute. But recruitment really has changed today in 2023 compared to 1999. It's a little different. Can you talk about some of the challenges that not only we are facing, but nationally?
Sure. It is a national issue. It's not unique to East Providence. It's not unique to Rhode Island. Over the last several years, it's no secret law enforcement has been in the spotlight. That has negatively affected the amount of candidates that come out and want to be a police officer. 25 years ago, we'd have literally close to 1,000 applicants just for the East Providence Police Department. Now we may have 80, 70, and it's a rigorous process to become a police officer. We do background checks, so not everyone is fit for the job. So it really is important to have a large applicant pool to get the best of the best.
Absolutely, and I know that your team and our administration has been trying to do everything outside the box to try to get more people to apply. Are you able to talk about some of those steps?
Absolutely. So when I became chief in October of 21, our manning was, we were hemorrhaging officers. We had retirements, we had people leaving. With your support, we really took a different view of hiring. We made some short-term sacrifices to achieve long-term gains. I took some folks and assigned them directly to hiring, recruiting and retaining, hiring. It has paid dividends. In the year 2022, thus far, today in 23, we've put on 22 new police officers, which is just incredible for an agency our size. We've put on some well qualified, diverse candidates through our entry-level program and our lateral program, which we hire police officers from other agencies who are certified police officers. And we've had several great candidates join the East Providence police ranks. So I would say about 2 years ago, we were in the high 70s for manpower. Currently, today, we're at 89. So we've made quite the step forward.
And we're budgeted for how many now?
96.
96. So that's wonderful. I mean, look, we are the 5th largest municipality in the state of Rhode Island, and there's a lot happening in the city.
Yeah.
And we count and rely on the men and women in our police department. You guys do a great job. The community really supports our law enforcement.
I was just going to say that. The community really does support us here in East Providence. We enjoy support that some other communities don't necessarily receive. And we really try to get that word out to potential candidates, that the community here in East Providence, they really like their police and they support their police. And we pride ourselves on being a full-service law enforcement agency. We don't just respond to calls and take reports and arrest people. We do the full gamut. We provide the full gamut of services, to our community, whether that be through our community policing unit, our school resource officers, our special investigation unit. We pride ourselves on being that full service agency.
And that's East Providence does have a lot of different units and divisions. It gives you opportunity for growth and for different experiences in the field. I know you served in many different divisions, right?
Yes.
Can you kind of lay out what your career has been like so
far? Sure. When I started, just like everybody else, I was a patrol officer, in a patrol car, answering calls, really learning the job, understanding what it means to be a police officer, the responsibility that comes with being a police officer. From there, I became a field training officer, where I trained new officers coming into the East Providence Police Department. After that, I was in our vice unit at the time. It's now referred to it as our special investigation unit. The special investigation unit handles all narcotics-related complaints in the city. So I served in that capacity for approximately 5 years. During that time, I also served on the Drug Enforcement Administration Task Force, where I was able to be exposed to some high-level narcotics investigations with other federal agents and other local police officers. I was promoted to sergeant in 2010. Shortly after my promotion, I served in the Office of Professional Standards. In the Office of Professional Standards, it's tasked with internal investigations and really upholding the integrity of our agency. So after approximately 2 years in the Office of Professional Standards, I was promoted to the rank of lieutenant, served in the patrol division as a shift commander. In 2016, I was promoted to the rank of captain, served in our services division, then our patrol division. In 2019, I was promoted to deputy chief, and 2 years later to chief. I also served on the department's special reaction team, our peer support team. Just done a variety of, very lucky to have done a variety of things throughout my career.
And I got to say, I was honored to have the opportunity to promote you to chief, because I saw the vast background and experience you had, and I think under your leadership, the department has really made leaps and bounds.
Thank you.
Not only with the recruitment that you've led the way on, but also with, we're almost at accreditation. We've been working hard towards that goal. The other thing, we negotiated a good contract with the union. That was a very important process that you were involved with, our administration, in really working out a good agreement with the union so that we could make the job much more attractive to people looking to apply. And in addition, we created a couple of spots to expand our community response unit. You want to talk about that?
Sure. First, I have to give credit to the union. We sat down last summer to negotiate this contract. Very cordial. They gave some things, and the city provided them with some things. So I think it was a very good, healthy negotiation. One of the things is we did, through attrition, reduce our manning and detectives by 2, and we're creating 2 new community policing spots. We have 2 new community affairs officers, one of which has been named, Officer Brandon Norman. He's our first community affairs officer. We will be naming a second officer shortly. And we really, and I know, Mayor, you were a big proponent of this, felt it was necessary to really kind of provide that a higher level of service in the realm of community policing to our public, to take care of. A lot of times, it's not the big issues that upset that upset the community. It's the small quality of life issues that sometimes fall through the cracks. And these officers are going to be tasked with addressing those loud noise complaints, neighbors who just don't get along, whether we're mediating or bringing in other services to kind of help a neighborhood. So.
And I think that's important because as it is, our officers are going call to call. It's nice to have the ability to have a unit that will spend more time to help mediate and mitigate situations to help keep them from blowing up. So that's wonderful. I'm so excited that we have 1 officer assigned to that unit. We have another one coming shortly. One of the complaints I get in my office all the time, and people can call me anytime, and I'll be happy to talk to them on these issues. This is the stuff we get. People call us all the time about the way people drive in the neighborhood. I know I forward all those calls to you. I forward the screenshots, and people reach me through all different ways. They'll either call the office directly, they'll email us, or they'll send me like a Facebook message complaining about the way people drive in their neighborhoods, the way they speed through their streets, how they go through stop signs. And I forward this over to you as much as you can, and you handle it, right? So generally what happens, I send a complaint to you. What are some of the steps you take?
So some of the ways we address it is this a repeat complaint? Do we know there is an issue there? Do we have to put resources there? And oftentimes the answer is yes to that, to try to change people's driving habits. If it's a street or an area where we may not have heard of that complaint yet, we have what we can do traffic studies. We have equipment that we can put on a given road, and it measures a myriad of things. It measures speed, it measures volume, time of day, the high speed, the average speed, the low speed going through. So it gives us a better understanding of the problem we're facing. Someone may call us and say, there is a tremendous issue with speeding on this street. And we may go there, and it's not quite that much of an issue. And we'll share that information, that data that we collect, with your office or the complainant that has reached out to show them, the speed limit's 25 here. It may seem like cars are going much faster, but really the average speed is about 28. I mean, that's what we find in a lot of streets. But many times there is an issue. It needs police attention. We also, along with our DPW partners, we have speed signs which indicate to the motorist how fast they're going, slow down. Those are effective. Many of those also gather data, so we can look at the data and see if they're, what the issue is in a given area.
That's wonderful. And one of the other things we've employed recently, of course, are the public safety cams or the speed cams that we use along some of the school zones. And that was, once again, that started a few years ago with the prior council, when the council came to us and asked us, hey, can the administration look into this? You know, this is something that may be vital to help slow down people through these school zones, because the fact is many of these council people were getting the same calls we were getting, right?
Sure.
So we looked into it, and we have now employed those cameras in different school zones, and we're seeing that there's a lot of speeders out there. What do the numbers look like right now?
We were, when the program began in January of 22, prior to that, we did a 3-month warning period, and we were just inundated with warnings, thousands and thousands and thousands. So obviously there was an issue, right? People were not obeying the school speed limits. And obviously that was happening prior to the warning period. We, you know, in January of 22, we started issuing violations. And it has had an effect on people's driving habits. We're still seeing a high volume of tickets, but that number has decreased over time. And if anyone drives through one of these zones now, they'll see for themselves. People slow down. You know, people do, you know, heed the warnings of all the signs. Unfortunately, there are people that still don't, and we're hoping to continue to get that message across, and people slow down in our school zones.
Hopefully, you get compliance from operators of vehicles, but we know that not everyone is really paying attention. That's the problem. You know, a lot of distracted driving. But I'll tell you this: I live off of Pawtucket Avenue, and oftentimes trying to merge onto Pawtucket Avenue was very difficult before the cameras during the day. You know, people are flying by 45, 50 miles an hour. I had neighbors calling and complaining about that, but since the cameras have gone up, we've seen people slow down. Now, there was a misreported information out there that we somehow have generated about $8 million. The reality is we have not generated $8 million. We have brought in about $5 million since the start of the program, and one of those millions went to pay for the service, which is the rental of the equipment and the fees associated with sending out the tickets. And I think the city's brought in approximately $4 million now. It's not a revenue-driven program, but the side effects of people disobeying the law is that the city is generating revenue, and that revenue is then used to offset having to raise potential taxes on people to make up that revenue. So we urge everyone to slow down and use caution when driving through East Providence, because you could either get a ticket from a police officer, one of our public safety cams, or you could really get one of the residents angry and they'll yell at you as you drive by.
Yes.
We don't want that. So now let's talk about some of the other equipment and tools that are being made available to our men and women of the East Providence Police Department, which are the body cams. Can you talk about that? I know you just recently rolled that out.
Sure. There's been a push over the last several years to equip every Rhode Island police agency with body cameras. The state of Rhode Island, along with the federal government, you know, they responded and they provided agencies with grant money to purchase these cameras, and not just the cameras. The storage fees associated with those cameras are very high. It's a costly program. It costs us about $115,000 a year to outfit all of our officers with body cameras and the storage and all of the accompanying infrastructure to support those body cameras. We went live about a month ago, just under a month ago. I should back up. Prior to that, we piloted, we tested 3 different companies. We chose Axon, which is a leader in the industry. I mean, our officers picked Axon. It was the choice was mainly left up to them. Which product did they feel, you know, ease of use, you know, just the best technology available, and we found it to be Axon. We went with them. We went live about a month ago, and it's really, you know, it promotes transparency. It allows officers to provide their point of view, you know, to anyone. You know, I mean, policing is a very second guessing nature job. You know, it helps us maintain the integrity of a case, evidence gathering, you know, disputes. We can go to the footage and have a better idea of what happened.
Well, you have a great story that you shared with me during the piloting program.
Yes.
There was a person who came in and tried to file a complaint.
Yes.
Against an officer. Tell what happened with that
Well, it was
story.
actually right on scene, and
Okay.
and I
Oh, it was
happened.
right on scene,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we had an officer pull over a vehicle, and the vehicle had some issues. It was unregistered and whatnot, and on scene, the operator was very, very, very difficult, and demanded a supervisor arrive. The supervisor was en route. In the meantime, the person would not step out of the car. The tow truck was there. It was an unregistered vehicle, had to be taken off the road. And the supervisor got there, and the person just started making up some wild accusations against the officer in that brief 5-minute encounter they were having. When the supervisor pointed out that the entire interaction was caught on body camera, the person's demeanor completely changed. They complied. It was evident that they were not exactly telling the truth. And I think that was like day 2 of our pilot program. So it paid benefits right away.
Well, I'm a big supporter of the body cams. I know that not only will it protect our officers from, false allegations, but also helps in the collection of evidence, and it also lets people know and puts everybody on notice that, hey, we're being recorded, we're being watched.
Right.
So let's behave and be as professional as possible.
There's what we refer to as the halo effect.
Yes.
And when a citizen or someone who may not be all that cooperative with the police realize they're being recorded, they may act differently. In the encounter, an encounter that may unfortunately had turned physical in the past may not now.
That's wonderful. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, it's out there now. We just want to let the public know that currently our officers are employing this tool. Mm-hmm. So be on your best behavior. Yeah. Don't go around breaking the law and doing silly things because you may be caught on camera.
Yeah.
So that's great. And one of the other things we recently signed a contract with was the flock cameras, which I think is a great tool.
Yes.
How's that coming along?
So right now we are in the process of having the locations where we're going to place these cameras approved at the state level. So once that occurs, the cameras will be erected in a variety of locations throughout the city. There's been several other agencies or cities in Rhode Island that have used these cameras for some time now, and it's just all reports from them is just a tremendous public safety tool that helps police solve crime. Oftentimes it adds that missing piece to the puzzle that we just don't have. We don't have a plate. We will go to a call and witnesses will say, well, they'll give us a partial description of a vehicle, maybe a partial plate, and there's probably, I don't know how many red pickups in East Providence, hundreds. This helps us narrow it down. This is an investigatory tool to help solve crime. Well,
listen, I can't wait to see those in action. One of the things I hope that you guys will be able to utilize it for is for people who illegally dump. Right? Nothing gets me more upset than when I'm driving down one of our side streets and I see someone's dumped a mattress, someone's dumped a box spring. Just yesterday, I was driving down to Pierce. Yesterday was the 5th, for those people watching, July 5th, and I'm driving down to Pierce, and there's a mattress and box spring on 4th Street. And I'm thinking to myself, why? We provide a service for residents to drop off mattresses and box springs at DPW for free. And people are dumping it on our city streets. And sometimes I think that might be outsiders. And I'd love to be able to utilize that tool to apprehend somebody. When we do, Chief, we'll do a big press conference on that one.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about some of the other great things going on. I mean, we've done a lot of improvements and a lot of investment in a very old police building. One of the things we just wrapped up recently was a state-of-the-art communication center. We moved those personnel from the police building to an off-site location that was designed 21 years ago to be a communication center, but was never utilized. How's that coming so far? How's that working, Chief?
So far, so good. Our dispatchers are in a real state-of-the-art dispatch center with state-of-the-art equipment, with the very best computers, software, desks, chairs, ergonomically appropriate desks and chairs for folks who spend 16 hours a day in an office, giving them the ability to stand up, move around. The it opened space up at the police department. Our dispatchers used to occupy space at 750 Waterman Ave, and now that they're in their new facility, we're looking to renovate our facility and make that space usable space for our police officers.
Did we recently sign something for an architect to look at that stuff, right?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. And I know we're getting a new roof put on. We're also going to be putting up a solar canopy that's going to be not only providing energy, but also protecting our police fleet, which is, we have some of the best equipment in the state. So we got a lot of great things happening. But I do want to bring up maybe a couple of scams you want to warn the people on, because people get hit with these type of scams all the time, and
sure.
Especially our elderly. We have an older population here. You want to touch on a couple of common ones happening right now?
Sure. One of the more recent ones we've seen is a Facebook scam. It's called the Facebook puppy scam. And what these scammers are doing is somehow they're getting real photographs of people who live in the area, and they've actually had images of their license to try to prove that it's real, with images of puppies. Now, these puppies don't belong to this person, and they're having folks send the scammer money and then go to the person's residence to pick up the puppies that don't exist. We've had some folks fall prey to that. We've advertised it on a warning on our Facebook page. It is very realistic looking. We were quite shocked when we saw it. The message there is, if oftentimes if it's too good to be true, it's not true, and that's what we try to drive home. One of the other scams, it's not necessarily new, but we see it happen, is what's referred to as the grandparent scam, where often a grandparent will receive a call from someone stating that they're a law enforcement agency, oftentimes from overseas or wherever their grandchild may have been on vacation or studying abroad, and they will startle the grandparent by letting them know that their grandson or granddaughter is in prison, out of the country, and if they don't send money, the person will never be able to get out. And unfortunately, we've had folks here in East Providence fall prey to that. A law enforcement agency, would never, ever, ever do that.
Right.
Never send money. Always call your loved one, call your family. If you think maybe something is happening with your grandson or granddaughter, call them, call your family.
Safest bet is don't put too much out there on social media, and don't take calls as gospel. Call your local PD if you get a call like
Absolutely.
that. And listen, we're running out of time here. I can't believe how quick things have been going, but National Night Out is coming up. Can you talk about that, Chief?
Sure. National Night Out, August 1st.
Okay.
610 Waterman Ave at the Senior Center. We hold it every year. It's a free event. It's a nationwide event that we take part in. We invite everyone to come. It's an opportunity to get to know your police department, get to know your neighbor, get to know the people that live in the city. Everything is free. We're going to have police vehicles, fire vehicles. We're going to have a canine demonstration. We're going to have local vendors, businesses, our East Providence Police Citizens Academy Alumni Association. We'll be there handing out free hot dogs, beverages. It's just a great night.
So National Night Out, August 1st at the East Providence Senior Center. We hope to see you all out there. It's always a fun event. And once again, that went quicker than I expected. You've been listening to our Chief Christopher Francesconi on some of the things going on with the East Providence Police Department. We have a couple of great feasts coming up. Braga Club on July 14th, 15th, and 16th. The Bright Ridge Club on July 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, and the Santa Maria Club on July 28th, 29th, and 30th. I hope to see you guys out there. Take care. Be safe.